So from a phone's perspective, basically we replicate the user interface into the car. It looks like an accessory to the phone. What's important for the MirrorLink use case is that as soon as the user enters the car and connects to the head unit, the user can put the phone away. There is no need at all in a MirrorLink session to touch the phone or to even look at the device. As a consumer, what you have for life before the car and you have for life after the car. And what we would like to do with MirrorLink is make a seamless transition. So you have your device, you get into the car, the only thing you need to do is connect. And if you leave the car, it's as simple as that. You just disconnect the USB cable and you have full control over your phone. Nothing has happened. You actually still see the same application you have used before disconnecting. So it's very intuitive when you enter, very intuitive when you leave. So that is the sort of seamless experience we try to achieve with MirrorLink. And there's actually a lot of benefits in standardization and to try to bring people together. On the one, it reduces complexity. Not necessarily complexity of the technical solution. That doesn't change, but it reduces the complexity for the ones who are using the technology. There's only one type of solution that we need to worry about. There is not a fragmentation in the market. That's on the second point, that there is only one solution, and not nothing to worry about that the OEM does it this way, OEM B does it that way, OEM C does it even a further different way. And as an app developer, you will need to decide which one to use first and second and third. If we're reducing complexity, if we're reducing particular fragmentation, we actually allow the ecosystem to scale up. As mentioned, it's not necessarily just one car model, it's not one OEM. It can scale across the industry and provide a reasonable amount of scalability, particularly for those application developers who are coming from the mobile side. And every user will have different needs for the applications. But everybody will have the same need for the underlying technology. And that's what MirrorLink solves. It solves this fundamental need to connect. And we would expect the same standardization on the in-car connectivity, which unfortunately doesn't happen. This is why MirrorLink is so important, because it provides that standardization. So on the lower level, MirrorLink basically gives connectivity on the USB as well as on the Wi-Fi side. MirrorLink is built on top of using IP technology. So we basically, the first thing on top of the vertical layer, we put up a TCP IP layer or UDP IP layer. So we need to mirror the user interface from the phone into the head unit. So we're using VNC for this. It's very capable of handling the necessary user experience mirroring from the phone into the head unit. In order to start the sessions and handle discovery and some of the events, we use UPnP, Universal Plug and Play. So the head unit is going to trust the phone. And in order to have this trust relationship established, we actually have a dedicated mechanism in the MirrorLink protocol to do this. Very important from an app developer perspective, they expect to have access to data coming from the car. The MirrorLink protocol has the basic fundamentals in it to ensure this to happen, to have access to data. And there are a lot of regulations and guidelines already out, and they're actually pretty complex. And that what CCC has been doing is basically abstracting this complexity. The interesting thing is now the drive certification on top of that, because that certifies that also the user interface is safe to be used while driving. At the end, the main goal of MirrorLink is really to break the product cycle. So what the fundamental problem bringing apps to cars is that they're completely running on different cycles. From a MirrorLink perspective, we would like to remove all the barriers as much as possible to allow app developers to innovate as fast as possible with respect to the kind of services they're operating, the kind of applications they're offering, also the way they present the user interface. And the only limit we give is that they need, in order to run on the car, they need to follow basic guidelines.
Interoperability issues within the device side are by definition driver distraction issues. If the devices don't behave the way they should, if they give you some kind of odd behavior when you're trying to use them, that is a driver distraction problem. We utilize third-party test labs. We don't allow self-testing in our program at this point in time. All of the quality standards that we utilize in our certification program are built against ISO guidelines. Applications have both a base level and a drive level certification. The base level does it work in the environment? The drive certification, is it subject and has it met the driver distraction guidelines? Certified applications can use the MirrorLink logo and the certification mark to identify themselves, to advertise themselves, to tell the world, hey, this is an application that you can use in this environment. Drive level, so things that we touch on, these guiding principles. Nothing demands the driver's attention excessively. Everything is quickly comprehensible, it's quickly understandable, it doesn't take a lot of mental bandwidth away from the principal activity of driving. That's what guides what is and is not distracting.
So at its heart, we've gone to great effort with MirrorLink to try and make it as simple as possible for applications to appear on the head unit and interact with the user via the car and via the controls in the vehicle. So the process of actually making your app work in MirrorLink is very straightforward. We provide an application listing mechanism via UPnP, and this you need to tell the UPnP layer what is your app, what is its name, what is an icon, so that the user has something to click on or touch in order to launch your application. Everything else happens transparent. The remote frame buffer replication, the audio streaming, control interaction, all of that happens transparent to your app, and you don't have to do anything to enable it or take advantage of it. We do, however, provide this MirrorLink Common API that allows your app to find out what's going on within the MirrorLink session. So you can find out what the capabilities are of the MirrorLink client. So for example, what is the size of the screen? What controls does it have available? Each server device maker is responsible for implementing this common API in their device. How that API is implemented is consistent from device to device, with the objective being that MirrorLink does not create new interoperability problems for your application to have to deal with. So we've gone to great lengths to make it as simple as possible for app developers, but by the API, your application can tailor itself and adjust itself and take advantage of MirrorLink capabilities when you want them. But the status of your application, how is it certified, is all handled through application certificates. These are X509 certificates that basically makes them read-only. You can get applications certified by the CCC, so that we certify that your app is safe to be used while driving. It complies with, say, the North American requirements. You can also get your application whitelisted by member companies. Say Volkswagen could whitelist your application and be the certifying entity. You can distribute your app through the existing distribution mechanisms, the Android Marketplace, Google Play, what have you. You don't have to change your app to incorporate MirrorLink or this certification. We have a common API simulator to have the API simulator simulate different kinds of MirrorLink connections. So you can actually test how your device will behave in a MirrorLink environment without connecting to a MirrorLink client, and you can manipulate the common API to see how your application responds and doesn't use the API directly. So as we define new services, miles per gallon, RPM, speed, airbag, headlights, whatever, we'll be adding new data objects that can be rolled out and that your applications will be able to take advantage of. And so one of the key elements of MirrorLink is to communicate to the application phone, okay, this is the environment you're in. It can be very different, and so we have to provide this translation layer. Okay, there's all these different buttons. Let's turn them into something the app can understand.
So for the app developer, because they don't have to integrate complex SDK and take care of the replication. The replication is taken care natively on the smartphone. Very interesting elements about this technology is that the enablers on both sides we take care of this because we know how to take care of this, and the app developer focus on making the best application